All right, but let's get into, I guess, the juice then for today. So, uh, it continues to spread, and every person that it spreads to gets larger and larger and larger and has a wider and wider audience. Now, I don't think people have stopped buying these blades, but there's something very interesting about this. If anybody at the company is going, look, people are buying the blades, there is no place to buy the blades separately from some of the nicer paints and cosmetics that they've ever had in the game. I think it would be more. It's not just blades, right? How many people are buying the bombs? How many people are buying the attachments to the other weapons, right? So if more people are doing that, then that could give them internal like understanding of this is good or this is bad. I just wonder if this company literally looks at these things and goes, this is good, we made money, and that's it. Because it feels that way, because they clearly don't give a shit about how it affects the game. But some ordinary gamers caught wind of this, who has been critical of Star Citizen in the past and has had pretty balanced takes, I think. And here we go. This is titled "The Greediest Gaming Controversy Just Happened." Is this the greediest? I don't even think this is greed. I think this is just straight stupidity. But let's see what he has to say.
Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I made a few videos on a game called Star Citizen, and I firmly now really believe that this might just be by far the biggest scam in video games, okay? And I'm not really using that as a light term. You know, when you buy something, maybe like 5, 6, 7, at this point, 8, 9 years ago, you know, if you don't have something in your hand after you've given money away, at what point does it just become a scam? Okay, at what point can you just say that you got scammed out of your money and it is?
But here's the thing. Technically, this is what they use. You can play it now, therefore it's in your hands.
Is what it is. Now, before we go into it, Star Citizen is a game that I feel like is more consumed by cultists at this point than actual gamers.
True.
And again, I've made plenty of videos talking about Star Citizen. I've given this game a fair chance. I've played it extensively, and
the red out of focus video. I remember this video. Like people were trying to negate his points because his camera was out of focus. Like his points weren't entirely based in true. It was so fucking funny. The comment section was like, you can't focus a camera, therefore you're not allowed to have an opinion.
I can't say that there's some fun to be had, okay? Star Citizen, for anybody that doesn't know, is the kind of game where you wake up from your bed, you take the elevator down to the main lobby, you go to the actual tram, you go all the way down to the spaceport, you collect your ship, you fly into space, and you do a whole...
Honestly, not actual game performance. Most likely. I imagine he has a decent PC. I imagine he recorded this just for the video, and they don't show you that they're shader caching at the beginning. So you get this performance initially the first time you come in, which is very stupid on their part, but you have no idea that they're caching the shaders.
Whole bunch of jobs, okay? Some of them can be mundane. You might be taking an Amazon package from 100%. One point to another, might be cleaning out the trash. Maybe you might actually go down and shoot something.
Linux has stutters. He does play on Linux, right? Yeah, maybe.
And if you have friends playing with you, you can in fact do even more incredible things like fly more complicated ships. You can do more complicated missions. It's really like a life simulator more than it is just a space game, okay? Like you really do feel like a citizen of the stars. Now, I love me some space games, okay?
Did he just reference the video? I think he referenced the meme.
In fact, I
love that
will buy anything on Steam as long as it has space in it, okay? For instance, I bought a game not a couple days ago called Cubic Odyssey, just because it allows you to go from planet to planet. It's like basically Minecraft in space with like a guided storyline. Love that game, cool. Okay? Absolutely enjoy it. You know, I've been scammed by games released like a decade ago, like Starforge, for instance, where that game never made it anywhere, but hey, just the prospect of going to space was important for me. I've been playing space games since I was a kid, okay? Games like Freelancer, games that take place just in space. If I can see a space map, that's enough for me.
Good.
Now, again, for me, it's mostly like, you know, I'm born too early to explore the stars, born too late to fucking sail the seas, right? So I know in my lifetime, I ain't ever going to be seeing the goddamn space world, okay? But at least I can live vicariously through video games, which is exactly what video gaming is about, living vicariously. So, of course, Star Citizen, for anybody that doesn't know, started off with a simple but humble Kickstarter, okay? So, reclaim the stars in this exciting new space epic. And, of course, the game designer behind this is the infamous...
Is he going to scroll down where they say no pay to win? That'll be fun.
Chris Roberts.
That'll be
interesting. You might have heard from games like Freelancer and Wing Commander, okay? Now, Chris Roberts is a visionary, okay? And unless you get like a Wrangler involved, Microsoft, these games never really end up coming out, okay? So now Chris started his company, Cloud Imperium Games, and, you know, at first they asked for $500,000 US, okay? Pretty humble goal, but obviously it takes a bit more money to make a video game that has you living in space, right? Now, initially they raised like $2
Yeah, and their whole thing was, it wasn't about, like, that money wasn't meant to be raised to make the game. That money was meant to be raised to show that people were interested in space games so he can go to other investors. That's widely known, that he wasn't intending to use Kickstarter to actually make the game until what he's about to say.
$2.1 million, but Star Citizen has made far more money than that. In fact, one of the cool things that, the actual Cloud Imperium Games does is they show you how much money they make. So believe it or not, you might have heard a couple days ago, they made $800 million. Well, currently they're at $821 million. In fact, I think if I hit F5, we might even get into the big 822, huh? Oh, here we are, just crossed 822 million. So yeah, per day, these guys are making like, 1 million at worst. The worst day out of this week, $137,000, okay? Now, for any independent company that has not made a fucking published game yet, this is a crazy amount to be making, okay? There's a lot of talk of, like, how much did GTA 6 cost to make? And, when you see that trailer and people were sharing, like, maybe it's like $2 billion, which maybe if you added everything like marketing, possibly. But, people are looking at balance sheets, people are looking at possible expenditures, and, there's decent posts where they say it's probably getting close to the $1 billion, maybe a little bit over. But,
like, okay, so here's where, just to be fair here, like, honestly, fuck CIG and everything that's going on right now. But just to be fair, CitizenCon is marketing. All of the employees that are making these dumb trailers and all these things are marketing. They're buying companies with our money, like Turbulent, which is why the 2023, and I'm sure he'll talk about that, they lost 20 million or whatever. They're paying back investors for when they had no money the first time, which they'll probably, screw us over again through that. Right? So, unfortunately, a sum that is unknown is being spent not on game development, where people are going, how much does GTA cost? They're just doing development. And when you look at those numbers, it would just be on development. It wouldn't be like, what company did Rockstar acquire over here, while you're attributing that to Star Citizen's development. So like they're not even that fair, but at the same time, yeah, it's obviously like the worst situation possible, but yeah.
Remember, Rockstar isn't taking money in crowdfunding. They're making $10 billion over the course of 10 years through GTA 5 and using that to fund projects like Red Dead.
They didn't buy the studio. They signed a 10-year lease to whatever building that is, but obviously they furnished it, which cost a lot of money.
Redemption 2 and using that to fund GTA 6. So when you get this game, right, you're at least going to get a completed good game. You're not buying something like 10 fucking years ago. We did not buy GTA 6 a decade ago and are still waiting for it to somehow materialize in front of us. No, Rockstar has made 2 trailers, one of them basically giving out the exact release date, the set in stone date, things could still be delayed.
Of course, yeah.
But you get the point. So why are we talking about Star Citizen, and why do I personally believe it's a fucking scam now? Because we're about to look at monetization that would make EA come in their pants. It would make Activision jizz at the thoughts of what they can do. So,
like, hearing words like that are insane. Like, just to give context to everybody here, there is a separate game mode called Arena Commander. And there was a joke back in 2013, 2014, 2015. I'm not sure when all this came out. I can't remember. No, it was like early. It was like 2013. There was a joke at the company that they were so much better than EA that they would make the company that runs their virtual in-game, because Arena Commander is like a video game that you play as a Star Citizen inside the video game, right? It's like playing an arcade game in the Star Citizen universe. And they named the company that owns Arena Commander Electronic Access as a shot at EA, like they were better than them. And now look at yourselves. You have become worse than them, significantly worse than them. And it's embarrassing. And it's really, really sad. It's really, really, because you thought you were so cool then, didn't you? Now look at you.
for an independent company that has not shipped a game, they decided to add one feature to their game that pissed off the audience. They call it Flight Blades. Now, what is a Flight Blade, you might be asking? Well, a Flight Blade appears to be an actual upgrade, a side grade, that you can pay real money for to install onto your ships to basically change its stats. So if you read over here, this kit includes the top speed balanced and precision handling flight blades ready for the RSI Scorpius ship series. So you buy
Have you ever watched him do an ad read for one of his videos? That's exactly how he sounds. It's so funny.
This blade for this specific ship, and you can modify its actual statistics. Now, again, you might be like, wait, Muda, doesn't this seem kind of like pay to win? Like, doesn't it seem like, you know, you can pay to make your ship better than the average players? Yeah, maybe. If you can affect things like top speed and maneuverability, I'm sure racing against other players who don't have these features, yeah, it probably sucks. So how?
But don't worry, they'll be in game soon.
How much do these side grades cost? $31 Canadian. And by the way, I'm so glad that these are in stock, as if digital supplies just run out, right? This is not the only flight blade. So for other ships, like I believe I actually have this ship, I can pay for this, flight blade kit that can affect the top speed and the handling and whatnot. $54 Canadian.
For the MPUV? Oh, because it comes with the ship. Okay. Still, this ship is worthless. This is the most pointless ship that has ever existed in the game.
Now, of course, let's stop being like meme-tacular here. Maybe, just maybe, Muda, okay? Maybe let's look at the store right now. Because out of 10, 11 years, you know, the fact that elevator...
Nah, I use all the MPUVs. For what? For what? You're literally just... You're an RPer. Congratulations, you RP.
Still keep getting stuck in this game. The fact that shit still keeps breaking in this Star Citizen universe. If it's one thing that somehow manages to work, it's definitely the store option for sure. So some of these blade kits are like $88. And that, ladies and gentlemen, if you open up...
All right, to be fair, in this case, that is the ship plus the blades. The blades themselves is the worst one because the blades do not come alone. So you cannot determine, and like, this is the thing that I'm having trouble with, is they have not released just like flat black paints or like black and slight red for a lot of these ships that are PvPer type ships. So people would like those colors most likely. They put those in a bundle with the blades do not come separate. So, and the paint, people might spend $15 on it. if the blades came alone, they would have actual statistics within their company if people like the blades or not. But they're being skewed by the paints, and then they're probably having meetings saying people are buying the blades, when I doubt they have the internal metrics to know if people are using them consistently and actually like them or not. People may have placed them on their ship and then left them there and didn't notice them anymore because they literally do nothing, right? Like almost nothing. It's very small. So that's like the even bigger scam there, is that internally they're going to come out and tell us that, you know, when they come out externally, they're going to be like, oh, you guys like the blades, so we're going to keep selling them. And it's like, how do you even know? You don't even know. This is such bullshit.
Up the $88, you might be like, well, do you even get like a ship with that? Yeah, you actually do. You get the actual Avenger Titan with that. So at least you get a ship.
Look at the paint
for $88. But let me show you what's like hilarious. So some of these options, and I'm not joking with you, this is no joke. This Aegis Hammerhead is actually being charged for 1,008 Canadian dollars. Like this store, if you were to show it to anybody that's outside the scope, they would think, oh my God, is Activision running? No, this is running from a company that has not shipped a final game yet. That's how insane this is. That's where the anger comes from, okay? And I actually haven't seen the Star Citizen community wake up and be this angry in quite a long while, and it makes total sense why they're mad. So if you open up one of the ships, like this is the Nautilus 10-year ship, right?
This is even crazier. I don't think they have any intentions of releasing the ship before 1.0, and they lowered the price of it just to get you to buy it. This is, by the way, this is a price reduction that you're looking at here. One of the only times I've seen them do this.
Right? So you look at it, this is a special event ship that comes with an exclusive 10-year insurance contract. Bro, you can't even give me a lifetime insurance package? Are you fucking high? It's a video game, brother. This is not the multiverse. I have seen crypto projects less testicle crunching than this. Okay. But here's where it gets funny. So you pay the $1,000 right now, okay? They give you the Nautilus, they give you a 120-month insurance, and they give you the...
Here it comes. Here it comes. Yeah, it is in stock, by the way. Just so you know. It probably still is.
This industrial hangar, right? Read these 2 points. This is not a game package. Please note, a game package is required to play the game and fly or access your ships. For $1,000. For $1,000. They don't even stick in the game license. They don't even let you access the game.
Buddy, this ship, you cannot fly. What you're looking at is the extent of the ship as well. We haven't even got that far yet. We have not got that far yet. Not only do you not get the game for spending $1,000, you're not going to get this ship on launch, most likely. This is a ship that will not make it on the launch of the game. At the current schedule, I guess, in their mind. This will not make it. Because this ship is pointless.
Dude, $1,000? There is not a game that I know of that wouldn't at least give you access to your ship. Bro, if somebody is spending $1,000 on a ship, at least let them get access to the game. Now,
would they even be able to see this ship in the store if they didn't have a game package? Like, it's funny, but the whole thing about it is they tell you that because what was happening to people. Again, more to be fair and to give context here. It is a react video. Why would I be reacting if I'm not going to give a little additional context to the situation? The reason they do that is because people got obsessed with the ships. Obviously, look at them. There's like they charge $1,000 because they can make $1,000 because people are ridiculous. And what players were doing were this is another thing that this company does that I don't think a lot of companies would do, is any purchase that you make in Star Citizen, you can immediately return for store credit at any time. And it goes into a bank and you can get it back for store credit at any time, right? Well, sort of. You get like a token to get it back for store credit. Otherwise, you have to buy it back for real money. But you get two every quarter. So it's like really hard to not have to do that. sometimes at a different cost, yeah, which is totally fucked up. But and that's besides the point of this one. So what players were doing was they were melting. It's called melting, like returning your stuff for store credit. And they were accidentally melting their game package to buy a ship without one. So you don't need multiple game packages. You just need one, and then other people just want the ships. So a game package would be a little extra, which is insane, obviously, to his point here. But that's what people were doing. So that's why these warnings came up. It's not actually as bad as it looks. It ends up being bad because people could buy a ship without a package. But if you just sent a ticket in, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, here you go." You know, they would fix it up.
Now, maybe refund, I'm sure
whatever.
this is like maybe the only way to buy this is to also have access to the game as well too, which I'm not signed in, so I wouldn't necessarily know that right from here. But it's just crazy.
Wait, if you're not signed in and you can buy this, then you can buy this without having a game package. They probably shouldn't allow you to see single ships without a game package, right? Or without being signed in with a game package. That's probably how the store should work.
That for this price,
I don't
this
think it does.
blurb is even mentioned. But here's the other thing below it. If you thought that was bad. So I've talked about this before, but a lot of the times these ships, they'll have these blurbs. This item is being offered as a limited vehicle concept pledge, which means the vehicle is currently in development and is not yet accessible.
It is not in development. They are not working on this ship
as playable content. If you pledge for this vehicle, you'll be provided with a loaner vehicle for in-game use until it will be made available in a later patch. The loaner vehicle will be a current playable vehicle of similar approximate size and or function to the concept vehicle. So if you think, whoa, I really want the Nautilus, they haven't even made the fucking ship yet, okay? Bros. Right now, this is a JPEG, okay? All right, this is how much the ship currently exists. You're paying $1,000 for the eventuality of flying this thing.
Literal NFT? No, you don't own any part of it. NFTs are less of a scam than this thing is.
Like, do you? I want the most hardcore cultists to just like get out of the scope a little bit and just say what I said out loud and just like really think about it and be like, is that normal? Like, sure, you know, one thing that I will say is Star Citizen is a unique gameplay experience. And I would recommend, you know.
This is like, for people who don't know, this is literally a fan. Like, everything that he is a fan. He wants the game to succeed. But this is his face. Look at him. Despair.
There's free weekends. Right now, I think there's actually a free period. You can go to this website, you can go to RSI, you can register, you can actually download and play the game for free. And there are some things about this, right? Like, obviously, a lot of these ships that you see, if you know how to grind in the game, which, you know, if you really get into Star Citizen, grinding isn't that crazy of a task. It's actually pretty
like, he literally knows it's super easy.
Reminiscent of playing like Grand Theft Auto Online. I never buy shark cards, but I just earn enough in-game money through all the activities to buy all the stuff that I need to. So you can just buy a game license and play the game normally and earn your stuff, right? Like, that's a thing you can do in Star Citizen. I don't want it to appear that these insane prices are prices that you have to pay to experience this product. Because, again, these prices are geared, I would imagine, mainly towards the whales, right? Like, there are whales 100%. Who spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
I can't wait till he finds out about Fleet Viewer and people showing off their fleets on Reddit. He probably knows. Like, and it's just 5 semicircles of ships, and you're just like, bro, you can only fly one ship at a time. You're one person
on this game, purchasing standalone ships and vehicles for like hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. Okay, for some people, this is a commitment, you know. But if you're somebody that's purchasing Star Citizen right now, you can absolutely buy the cheapest game package and just start playing the game from there. And you can earn enough money to then purchase other, like, vehicles in the game or rent them, so you can at least try them out instead of committing to these insane prices.
So it's not pay to win then, right? That's the argument that people would
I
make.
want to make that readily apparent. But obviously, one of the biggest field of controversies here was when you go to those actual, Flight Blade packs, right? Now, what made these so bad that obviously, Cloud Imperium Games was selling these things for like actual money, right? Like these Flight Blades alongside this Redeemer ship is $460, right? So the $460 includes that, I would say, pay to win, like ship modifying, like, Flight Blade. And the thing is, when they introduced this, the backlash came because it wasn't something that you were able to earn in the game. It seems like the only way to get these packages were to actually purchase them from the actual store, which was so backlash.
Hold on, I can't get past this comment from somebody in chat. That's debatable. I did a Reddit thread once that going for a waiter job is more efficient than earning UEC. Brother, you're playing a video game versus going to work. It doesn't even matter. You're talking about hourly wage versus hourly earned alpha UEC. You're playing a video game. Do you want to be playing the video game? Yes. Do you want to wait on some jerk off at a restaurant? No. How are these two even, like, how are we putting these two together? That's, as somebody who dealt poker for a living, which is essentially the same thing, that is not an experiment that makes any sense to me.
Inducing that obviously even Cloud Imperium Games ended up coming out, and this was like May 16th that they said this, right? So this is like last weekend. They were like, throughout Star Citizen's evolution, one fundamental principle has remained paramount. Everything you pledge for to support our development will eventually be attainable through gameplay, okay? Your contribution helps push things forward, but your time in the verse should be equally rewarded. So they were pushing 11 patches this year instead of 4, yada, 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 yada. But they said the Flight Blades will be obtainable for actual in-game currency, so that's AUEC, in the next patch this June. So they followed our usual approach by offering early access, and after some reflection, don't say some reflection, like you got...
Get them! Sick them!
Backlash, like the community rightfully felt shafted. We've decided that for smaller components like Flight Blades or bomb racks, they should be available in-game at the same time they appear on the store. Yeah, they should. Because if you get actual gameplay benefits from this, you're just making an unfair experience to the people that don't want to pay more money for a game that is so far away from being fucking completed that you would be an idiot for giving them anything. Like, look at some of these bomb racks, for instance, too, right? Like, you're looking at a 6-pack.
So he seems to be the opposite of me on some of this stuff. Like, he'll play GTA 6 and don't care that shark cards exist and just play the game and have fun. And that is, like, I'm recognizing that there are people that are like that. I am not like that. I do not like that. I don't like that if players can... Like, I don't like the point of players skipping playing the game. Like, I just think that video games, you sit down and you play them. And there isn't anything external outside of the video game. That's just me, right? And it will always be me. But, you know, there's too many times where RMT have ruined games like MMOs, where you're like, I mean, the ships in the game could have and should have been achievements, and they're not, right? And they're not because you know somebody just swiped their card to get them.
The 6-pack.
But that's always going to be my personal opinion, and that's it. Is, you know, I played older school MMOs that didn't have any of this shit, and they actively fought against RMTers, right? Because it went against their subscription model. And now look at us.
Bomb rack for 78 Canadian dollars, okay? And what the fuck is this? It's a kit that includes bomb racks for a variety of ships. You know, in most video games, you just earn this. These are upgrades that you add to
okay, maybe not. Like, maybe we're on the same page.
I mean, this is insanity, man. Like, we're paying the price of a full goddamn game for, like, a bomb rack that you attach to your goddamn ships. Like, what's good? Like, it's actually so insane, right? Like, go to Steam right now. Go to
Rockstar.
Go to the storefront, right?
Thank
for
you.
$78,
Appreciate it.
You can just get. Like, I could pick up System Shock 2 Remastered, which I probably will for like $35 because this game is actually really goddamn good. There's so many. There's actual full goddamn games. You can get Dead Cells for $15 and enjoy this more. You could buy RimWorld DLCs, which, you know, RimWorld itself is a goddamn like is a goddamn brain twister. You know, it's definitely a game you can sink your time into. But no. Like, just look at the sales.
Cyberpunk is cheaper.
You can pick Cyberpunk. You can pick
Baldur's Gate is cheaper.
You can pick Witcher 3 for like $6 right now. Red Dead for $20. These games will give you more fun times than just like this alpha build of a space game that is still so far away from completion that even the single player component, Squadron 42, I was excited to play Squadron 42. They say it's coming in 2026, and maybe it will. But at this point, I genuinely do.
What do you think these blades are for, dude? They're taking this money. They're taking this money and they're making Squadron with it. They're not. The reason that this game isn't done is because they're not paying for this game with that money. They're paying for Squadron with it. Mostly, it seems like, at least.
Care that if it comes out, because 2026, like, aside from GTA 6 and other games that are actually slated to come out, I'm not really looking forward to this vaporware that I was hyped about when I was like 10 years ago, when I was a much younger man. Now it's like, you know, the game isn't here, the game isn't out. You know, people have bought packages that they were just sitting on for years without ever having anything tangibly delivered. At what point does this go from, you know, a future game that people are hopeful for to an actual honest to God scam? Because I really think like we're at the actual scam component. You are reaching a point where the total like amount of money raised is $800 million, right? Like the $800 million bucks. And we have not received a finished product right now. Star Citizen is still currently...
Because that doesn't include the Calders, right?
...in alpha. It's not even in a beta phase at the moment. We're still at a point where the alpha build is still so buggy. There are bugged problems. There are performance issues. Like, there are points where you can just get stuck in the game, just riding an elevator. A game that is so, I would say, the best way to put it, volatile, all right? Like, we haven't even addressed serious key issues. And yet, they're so focused on monetization that, look, I thought the whole idea of crowdfunding a video game was all to get away from, like, shitty publishers.
That's what they told us. That's what they told us they would do.
Right? Like shady developers that just wanted to monetize the shit out of their game at the wishes of the actual, like, you know, the actual gamer. But this is worse. Like, I'm telling you honestly, like, I wouldn't even see like Take-Two doing this. And mind you, Take-Two sells like NBA 2K games that have like casinos inside them. Rockstar with like, you know, the shark cards. I don't even see this level of monetization in like EA games. Like, the closest I see this maybe is with cosmetics and like Activision stuff. But even then, Activision still produces full games that you can purchase and experience instead of shipping the market out with vaporware. And you know what? You're going to find like a bunch of Star Citizen people that will say, oh, you're just impatient. You don't really understand the scope. That's the problem, okay? The problem.
No, like, he's very clearly showing that he plays the game. He understands everything. And he is frustrated by it. Like, he is very clearly showing that out of all the creators that will cover this specific topic, that he is, of the larger ones that aren't consistently making Star Citizen content, that he is the most aware of the situation and the most knowledgeable about it. He has proven that through every video I've watched from him. And this one more than ever. Like, he's literally a Star Citizen.
Problem is, you're looking at a game that is just constantly miring in feature creep. You're looking at a game that is just, its release date keeps jumping up years at this point. You know, when this game comes out, if it comes out, You know, are you okay with the release date being like 2030 in the 2030s? Maybe late 2030? Because the amount of stuff they have yet to complete and yet to properly
Yeah,
deliver on is
100%.
going to be a serious monumental task. And they're so focused on trying to eke out all of the money from their player base instead of actually delivering the multiple things that they still have. And even if they haven't delivered a whole bunch of things, it doesn't stop them from every year at CitizenCon saying, oh, maybe we'll add this feature, maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. It's like the most, like, it's embarrassingly, like, it's just one of the most embarrassingly bloated, like, game developments that I've seen in a while, in a long time. You know, most companies of Cloud
Probably
Imperium
ever.
size, when they blow up to like literally like a AAA publisher at this point, and they make the money that they do, they probably have like a few projects under their belt. But it's funny because I don't even think Star Citizen has a reason to come out. If you're making $1 million,
That's an argument from so many people. And then I always make the argument that it is Chris Roberts, it's his wife, it's his brother, it's his lawyer, who I don't think works there anymore. Like they him and his buddies are all like part of the board. The longer this goes on, the longer he keeps collecting a paycheck and just living a comfortable life, right? Now, I have been in the studio with Chris. I've seen his work ethic. I've seen how much he cares. I know that not to be true about Chris. I'm pretty sure, unless something has changed since 2016, it probably has. Chris works harder than anybody I've ever seen, and is like intense level is insane. Of like he wants it to be good, and I just think they lost their way, man. Like I think they really lost it with the whole trying to make two games at one time, and I think they're doing anything they can to make sure it happens. But what they're not recognizing is that they're just fucking the whole thing up as they go by doing it this way.
a fucking day, right? Like 1.4, 1.5 million. If you're making $100 million in like 11 months for a company that has not even made a completed game yet, do you even have an incentive to finish the project? Like,
It seems
if you've
like
got
the
whales that are
answer's
just
no,
buying
but
concept ships, not even ships that they can fly at that moment of time at purchase,
I'm not entirely sure if that Chris cares if it comes out like for 1.0, but I am sure that he wants it to not be horrible like it is now.
even really need to complete your game? I don't think you have to. In fact, if I was Cloud Imperium Games, I'd just sit on my ass and keep making ships.
I mean, there's a funny clip. Do you guys remember the Star Citizen Live where they told us about the Banu Merchantman, like it wasn't going to come out? There's I believe it was this one. There's a clip where one of the art people or somebody said the comment of just draw a ship and make money or whatever. Like they made some sort of comment referencing that. I think internally they have that mentality, or have had that mentality in the past at least. It's like, oh, just screw it. We'll just draw something cool and that'll be that.
Because people keep buying them. You know, people say like consumers have a choice and that's voting with their wallets, but with how much money they're raising, the whales really are the ultimate deciders in all this.
Yep.
But it is good generally.
And it shows, because the moment the patch that he's, referencing and that everyone's playing right now came out, it's just Idris's, like the biggest ships in the game just fighting each other, and everybody else just kind of sitting on the sidelines and not being able to compete in those fights. Like I'm pretty excited for 4.1.1 for like mining changes and stuff that are really good. But I can't enjoy some of the bigger stuff, and I can't earn that thing in the game, so I have no excitement level for it at all. If I can't earn the bigger ships that everybody's playing with, why am I supposed to be excited about it, right?
in my opinion, to see that obviously in the Star Citizen community, they do consider this to be the most unhinged monetization pivot that they've ever seen. So, you know, one person said right here, remember how they sold Star Citizen's funding model as a way to get away from cash grabbing publishers,
Yep.
making everything behind a paywall?
1,000
Yeah,
upvotes.
get away from predatory publishers forcing over monetization and unreasonable release dates. Here we are at 15 years of alpha development with some of the most aggressive and expensive monetization of any game ever. Not only considering the Blade and bomb racks, they're selling
Love
a
it.
virtual ship for $1,900. I think it is important to keep that part in mind too. And it is. It really is. There are so many other space games that have come while Star Citizen has announced itself. Games like No Man's Sky that were announced, they released, they were shit at release, and they turned it around with completely free updates. Hello Games is nowhere near the size and revenue as Cloud Imperium Games, I would imagine. But
they have Sony behind them, right? Still? I don't know how fair that is, but yeah.
Their one game so far has...
I don't know how they've gotten away with it. Like, people are begging to pay for these updates, and they
turned itself around and become a actual beacon of what a developer should do instead of releasing dog shit and completely ignoring it. Cyberpunk was kind of announced alongside this game, I would say, back then. They released
kind of
absolutely dog shit release, but they turned it around with one of the best expansion packs that I've ever seen. And in the space of all this, there have been rival competitors like Elite Dangerous even, which maybe are not at the same level of scope or immersion as this, but they've come out.
To some extent, I think that they're more immersive at times. The thing that No Man's Sky fails, or excuse me, Elite Dangerous fails with is just not being able to walk around your ship. If you were able to walk around your ship in Elite Dangerous, it would have crushed Star Citizen a long time ago. I think people would have not played Star Citizen. That was the X factor and has always been the X factor, is the straight up. The moment you go from being in your ship to out of your ship, or starting outside your ship and going in your ship, that, like, Elite never had a chance. Never had a chance, because it was like every other space game where you were the ship and you weren't the person piloting the ship. You were just the ship, right? And then Star Citizen comes around and is like, you're the person in the ship. You're the character in this world. And that just separated it. No matter how bad Star Citizen was and still is, Elite Dangerous never had a chance. Never had a chance.
Released all their content. And I think they're pretty much moving on from that. So yeah, it is just insane to see how this becomes. But yeah, I think at this point, it's pretty much safe to say that Star Citizen is a perpetual scam, and I don't actually ever fucking see it completing. And I don't see an incentive to concede. This is probably the most greedy thing that I've seen from any publisher. And it's crazy to think it's coming from like an indie publisher, technically, that hasn't even had a completed game. Make it make sense. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
Jesus. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting it to be that harsh. Because I know he's a fan. But yeah. That's crazy.